Welcome back, everybody, to NFL Draft Live. Rich Maker. I'm Williams, as always. Nate, how are you doing? Fine Friday evening. Talk a little
Good, man. Energized, primed, ready to go. The humidity is back in Texas, so that's been something you wouldn't enjoy, but something I've loved. So no complaints from me.
Yeah.
Got a nice little summer shandy. Got that. The
Ooh,
typical,
there you go.
That's
Wow.
the college staple between the two
Wow.
of us. I
Goes
would
with the
say.
summer shandy. Very nice. Very
It's
nice.
summer in April, baby. It's summer in April.
Summer in April. Not up here. It is just a hair under 50, but I'm good with it. Keep the long sleeves on. All right. So today, got a great one here. We're going to go running backs, tight ends. Nate, any initial thoughts? We're going to go to running backs first, but any initial thoughts now? We're 2 weeks out. How excited are you 2 weeks from now to be in these chairs again? And day 2, our favorite day of the draft. It's going to be a blast. So make sure you guys are there. 28th, 29th. We'll be starting at 7 right when the draft starts. We'll be starting at 6 right when the second day starts. It's going to be a blast. Nate, how excited are you for that? Because we're getting real close. We're getting
really close. I'm really excited. That's one of my, of course, favorite events and things that we get to do. I'm super pumped for that second day. I love the first night, but the second day is really the most fun.
It is.
And watching these teams really build and watching a lot of guys, have that awesome moment where their pick gets announced and we see the different personalities really shine. And that includes the people who read the picks. That's always super fun as well.
Yes.
It's due for a lot of laughs this year. I think it'll be really good. We're coming off another year post-COVID. So a bigger spectacle, of course. I know COVID's not done. I don't want to get corrected on that, but we're rebounding, and I think the draft process will be too as well.
Yeah, I mean, down in Vegas, it's going to be a huge spectacle, obviously. And they did release, Nate, earlier this week, I believe yesterday, they released the names of the guys who are going to be in attendance. And so there are a lot of names that you would expect to see on that thing. I think 3 that maybe we didn't really expect as much. Matt Corral, Nakobe Dean, who's been linebacker 1 for most of the fall, right, and into the winter, but I feel like it's kind of tailed off. You see these other guys, test really well as athletes. And you're kind of like, okay, how many teams are going to like a 5'11 linebacker? And then you have Kyler Gordon as the other one who I think everybody was hoping was leaping into that first round because he was going to test out of his mind. Didn't really do that. But those 3 names are interesting, especially Nate, Matt Corral, because quarterbacks, a run in the first round, that would be wild.
I don't like what that means. I really don't.
As a Saints fan, I understand your concern.
I have full-blown issue because the Saints are the team that would draft Matt Corral. It isn't the Patriots, obviously.
No.
So it's probably the Saints that they're thinking, maybe he'll kind of jump up and see. But I don't know, man. He could be sitting there a while, or we could see something really early just pop off.
I mean, it will be interesting. And, there's probably going to be somebody, if they don't select one of the quarterbacks early, there's going to be probably some trade back into the first. Bengals want to move out, maybe. I don't know. If they don't like what's there, Chiefs have 2 picks there. If they don't move up for receiver, that's where maybe Matt Corral could fit in. But we'll see. It's set to be a night that we won't forget because it just feels like there's nothing consensus at all. Even at 1, we have no clue.
No, there's really not.
It could be either of the rushers. Jacksonville could surprise us and say, "Yeah, it's been O-line all along." I have no. It's gonna be a whirlwind.
It's a beautiful thing. I think that's my favorite type of draft, and one we don't get that often in this era of guys that just come out and dominate. Especially in recent years, it's just so fun to see because we all agree that the depth is there. There's no questioning the depth and the qualities in this class. Maybe not every position, but in this class, there is a lot of depth. And then to see, we don't know who these headline guys are. I think it opens that door for a lot of picks that we might just be like,
it's going to be wild. It's going to be a wild night.
Going to the Saints.
Trades, who knows? It's going to be all over the place with teams having multiple selections. So, you know what? Let's do a fun thing before we kick off running backs. Mitch comes in, says this guy has a pro day, 6'2", 211, runs mid 4.4s, shuttles good, 3 cones excellent, jumps out of his mind. Why is no one thinking this receiver could be good? Now, Mitch, I don't want you to say who it is, but I have a feeling I know. I'm going to guess anyway. I think, Nate, it's Derek Young from Lenore Rhine. And if Lenore Rhine sounds familiar, Kyle Duggar, indeed. That's what my guess is. I don't know if it's correct. The only other name I could no, I don't think it's not Tanner Connor. He's bigger. Mitch, you can tell us now if you want. That's the only guess I got for that guy. As soon as he comments, we'll get back to it. Let's get to running backs now. Nate, there's pretty much a consensus, I feel like, top 3. However, there's definitely people who kind of deviate from that. But the top 3 we talk about: Breece Hall, Iowa State; Kenneth Walker III from Michigan State; and Isaiah Spiller from Texas A&M. And the answer is Malik Taylor, who is on the Green Bay Packers. That's interesting. I assume that's who you're talking about because I don't have him in a database, but that's interesting. It's a fun thing for Packers fans right there. Future Hall of Famer, maybe. Could be a future Hall of Famer. Who knows? So, Nate, where are you at in terms of the top guys at running back? Something we obviously want to touch on. We're covering the whole class. Where are you at the top here?
If we're doing rankings, I think it's pretty chalk for me.
Okay,
it's Hall, Walker, and Spiller for me. But as far as it goes in terms of like how effective these guys are going to be at the next level, I have 2 of them in my top 50. And I think that's generous, probably. And I think the top prospect who I have, Breece Hall, I think he's a running back by committee, more likely than not.
Interesting.
At the next level, I think he's got a lot of experience. He's got the burst and speed that you want through the hole. That's just kind of how I see it playing out after watching it. I haven't watched the most tape going deep in this class, but obviously we watched a lot of Breece Hall, a couple really fun Iowa State teams. And I think it'll be interesting. I think this might be another year where we see some of these guys come from the middle or the back of the pack. And at the next level really, really thrive, especially these guys that we see, with multi abilities, pass catchers out of the backfield.
Yes.
And I'm sure we'll talk about, some potential sleepers in just a little bit. But
yeah, I mean, the receiving backs are going to be an interesting discussion. There's no doubt about it. Like you have, I think Breece Hall is my one just because we've seen, like you said, there's experience there. I know that. I think we've moved away, which is a good thing. We've moved away from this, like, he's got the wear and tear. It's like, guess what? Like these guys, 4 or 5 years, they're probably out of here, and we're redrafting again anyway. So Breece Hall, though, I think the vision is outstanding. I do get the concern a little bit because he has a lot of these like negative runs and runs of like 0-1 yards. Sometimes too patient at times, and sometimes wants to kick things out. We know a guy who used to be that in college. You kick things out to the outside and wanted to beat guys to the corner because he could. That name is Saquon Barkley. Now, Breece Hall isn't Saquon Barkley, but again, something that comes up is the negative runs. That's a problem, right? But when you see Hall be patient, when you see him anticipate openings, when you see him anticipate and move like either edge defenders or second level linebackers, get them out of position and get to where he wants to go, open space, that burst, that contact balance, it all comes through, and you see those big plays that he can put together. Kenneth Walker, same way, extremely shifty. He is elusive. There's no doubt about it. And he runs. His speed looks, Nate, more urgent than Breece Hall's. Breece Hall's looks easy.
Yeah,
and it's
really finds his burst with ease.
Breece Hall looks like Olave when he runs. Those are the 2 guys who have the speed. But it looks so easy. They're just kind of gliding. Where Walker is really churning, and you can tell when he's hitting that next gear. Spiller, people are split on Nate because, again, the great news about Spiller is he improved his receiver this past year. Made a lot of catches in the passing game. Made a concerted effort there and did well. The question is obviously the lack of explosiveness, and you're not going to always have those openings, right? They're not. 40-yard, 50-yard gains don't come at like a ridiculous clip. But when they do come, you want to have a guy who can pick that up. When it's blocked to perfection and you have the one cut, you found the lane, you need to, give me 25, 30. Give me that chunk play that we want to have in the running game. Yeah. Isaiah Spiller might not give you that. No. So I think that's where people are a little bit concerned. And I do think he is also very react to the opening. He isn't anticipating openings coming in front of him. He's maybe a little bit late to react as well. So I get why some people have kind of moved off him. I've seen him as low as 10 and 11 in this class, and some people are way lower. I understand to a degree, but I still think this is a workhorse guy who, again, improved as a receiver. If he was just a runner and didn't have that, then I'd be like, okay, yeah, we've got a concern here that's, warrants a bigger push down. But that's kind of where I'm at.
To me, if you're a consistent running back in the most consistent league or most competitive league in the country, in the SEC, I think there's a case for you almost no matter what.
Yep.
I think a team that knows to throw him out there, on a quick out, a wheel, sometimes probably a screen pretty well. If you can use him in the right way, I think he's a potential 3-down back. But it comes down to fit and it comes down to scheme, of course, as we always say. But I think 10 is mean. I know that's a bad word, but I think 10 is mean. I think any higher than 3 is criminal. But yeah.
I do think Walker and Hall have kind of separated themselves. You could even say they're in different tiers. I've seen people put Walker in a tier above Breece Hall. I've seen people put Hall a tier above Walker.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can kind of either way there. I think it's a preference thing. But I do think that there's some really excellent guys after them. And I want to go to these guys first. Is the receiving backs. And when we talk about the receiving backs, usually, and scat backs, however you want to define them, these are the guys that are maybe 200, 205 at most, sub 200. Talking about James Cook, Tyler Beatty, Kyron Williams, all these guys who are going to find roles, I think, but probably won't be feature backs in the league. Anybody stand out for you with that grouping of players?
Honestly, I really like Beatty. A guy that at Missouri coming in was pretty much unregistered. He's just a 3-star, actually recruited by Illinois as well. Fun fact, that's why I know so much about him.
There you go.
But, a 2-sport athlete guy and somebody that came in and, I think at the next level has a nice, potential to be a change of pace back. And fits really well in a complementary 2-back system. If you stretch him out or in a zone rush or, you put him in a pistol, I think he'd be really fun to let rock. I think there's a lot of guys in the middle chunk of this class
100%.
that have shock potential. And, I think there's guys even farther than this. I went a lot further down the line for my sleepers, and I think you could consider these guys a sleeper, So I think he's a lot of fun. He's the one that out of that group I think I'm most excited to see. The big playability is there. I think that's all you really need to know. It's been a lot of fun watching him and, getting to see. I think he's probably a 3rd-round guy that comes up with a lot of value for his position, especially.
Yeah, I like Cook a lot. Beatty's a good player, walking playmaker. James Cook is wicked, flexible and wicked quick, explosive, really in the short area. Really good receiver, runs phenomenal routes out the backfield, and has the burst. Again, he's not quite as big as Dalvin Cook. I think Dalvin Cook was on the smaller side though at 210, I want to say, but at 198, you're still getting a player who's just dynamite, like we talked about, change of pace. You have your early down guy. James Cook, I think, could play in the slot, truthfully, because he's just that good as a receiver. So I'm excited for Cook, and I know, you get attached to that label of your Dalvin Cook's brother, and you kind of want to, make something for yourself as well. I do think moving to Kyron Williams, obviously everybody was very concerned about the 40. I think the 40 concern for me was never if he runs a fantastic 40, that means he's running back 1. I don't think that was ever in play, and maybe that's some people who are dogging the 40 were thinking. I don't know. But Kyron Williams does everything well. Pass protect, receiving back, shifty. He does all the little things well. So is he going to go day 2? I don't think so. But I think he'll stick on a roster because especially he can pass protect with anyone in this class. He went up against anyone as a pass protector right now. I don't know if I'd take anybody over him.
He really runs well for his size too, in the physical side of things.
Yep.
He's somebody that I just can hurt you all around, I guess is how I would describe it. And somebody that's going to be really fun at that next level.
Yep.
And I think an early impact too. I think that's something that's noteworthy too. These teams know they're not getting, the Volkswagen type miles, these 300,000 mile guys.
Yeah.
They're looking for the fast sports car that'll take you 100 or fast or physical. They're looking for a Jeep. They're looking for a sports car. They're looking for something fun and exciting that can complement what they have in other areas.
Yeah. Well, the receiving backs are a good group. I want to touch on two other guys I think in the mid rounds who aren't really workhorses. That's where we were going to go next. But I want to talk about these two guys especially. I want to talk about Rachaad White from Arizona State. One. I also want to talk about Pierre Strong because I think both of these guys offer some similar things, but there's a little bit of a difference, and that difference is speed. Rachaad White is somebody I am totally in on because he's a smooth runner between the tackles. I mean, again, as a receiver, stems into guys, stems into blind spots, works out the backfield. He's very much contact balance, make you miss guy in space, very Kamara-esque post catch. I don't know if he has Kamara's contact balance between the tackles, which is kind of just absurd. But, I mean, listen, he's the guy I'm probably banging the table for because he's still like 6 foot 215. And he's just probably my most fun watch I've had on tape. And Pierre Strong, similar thing. I think he's actually a very good receiver. I think he actually does well as a pass blocker, something Rachaad White does not do. Seen plenty of reps where he's working into kind of a stemming at a guy, two-way go type look where he can go in or out, and he's very good at making the defender commit first. Solid receiver, but again, has one cut and go. He's like 5'11", 203, so he's kind of teetering on whether or not maybe you have this guy being early down, this workhorse type. But just imagining him, even though they've added guys, they've added Mostert, they've added Chase Edmonds, imagining Pierre Strong in Miami is a fever dream. It would be so cool because good receiver, one cut go, has I think 4.38 speed. So love him. Nate, any thoughts on those two guys?
I think White is a fascinating prospect. A guy that went the JUCO route and was a guy that was on his way to UCLA and decommitted and ended up, at Arizona State. Eventually, it wasn't an easy route, despite being a pretty freaking highly ranked prospect.
Yeah.
Overall, coming out of JUCO, he's dangerous. I think that's a good way to say he's a dangerous dual threat guy. That's a lot of fun. I think he could take on a third down role or a receiving back role pretty early on. If not being, one of those guys that's going to slot in the first year or two and be a 3-down back. I think that's unlikely. But, I mean, this is another guy. We always talk about the dual sport athletes and their values, basketball player. And as a receiving back, you can play basketball. It's a highlight for you. That's getting a plus in the Nate Williams.
Drake London.
Yes.
No, Tyler says if a 40's going to make or break a player, must not have impressed on tape. I think a lot of people were looking. I think there were some people anyway looking to poke holes in Kyron Williams' game. And again, was the breakaway speed good? No. I still think he's a really good player who's going to find a role. So I completely agree. 40s are really just to kind of either just I can't think of the word, validate. There it is. What you saw on tape or whatnot. So yeah, using the 40, especially for apparently these Notre Dame guys, it matters more than it does for others for some reason. Don't know why for the Notre Dame guys it's a big deal, but that's not a shade at anybody talking about Hamilton or anything like that. Yeah, he is fast and productive. That's definitely a good way to describe Pierre Strong. Okay,
if Tyler's in here, maybe we should talk about the running back from his favorite school that shares its name.
We could talk about him.
I have him written down.
I think that fits perfectly right about here, Nate.
Yeah.
I think he fits in this group, which is right where we're at right now. Here's the guys who I think fit in this group, Nate. It is Brian Robinson from Alabama, Zamir White from Georgia, Damian Pierce could move him up maybe a little bit, depending on what the NFL's high on him apparently, and then the other would be Tyler Algier. 4 guys who should be in between the tackles, taking punches, picking up yards after contact. Do you have a favorite, Nate, in these mid-round guys? Hassan Haskins was the other one I wanted to bring up as well from Michigan. That's another guy who is seen some hype recently. Nate, are you going to bring up the guy because Tyler's here? Is that where you're going to go first?
Yes.
Okay, go
ahead. I actually, so I had Tyler Algier to talk about as my sleeper. I think he's a guy that I think has a way higher ceiling than some of the other guys playing in this same role that fit into the class. The way he hits into the hole and the way he is just willing to go after a guy, it's fully explained by the fact that he played outside linebacker in high school and is no shy person when it comes to contact. I just got so confused by the comment that said Kyler Murray trade. I thought there was a trade. So
as soon as I saw that comment,
I was like, what?
I went to Twitter immediately.
I think with Algier, you can't expect him to have this like Alvin Kamara-esque route tree or to get that big separation. But if you've got a guy that can get that and you're looking at a stable, let's say, of guys and you can slide him in, I think at what he does, he's one of my favorites in this class. He just is ready to go and get it. Dude's a freight train and is ready to go out and hit somebody.
So my favorite thing is with Algier is you talk about the highlight plays he made. And if you watched him, you were watching him late at night on Saturdays. Back in the fall. Him dragging a Virginia guy in what was one of the coolest shootouts you'll ever watch at BYU Virginia. Him carrying a guy late in the game where he had already put up a ridiculously productive day was awesome. Then it was Nate after the BYU interception against Arizona State, chasing a dude down, skying up in the air and punching the ball out to give BYU the ball back.
One of my favorite college football plays in recent memory.
Good. It's so good.
So good.
You love every second of it because that just a guy who plays his butt off. Some of these BYU guys just play their butts off. Nate Jamal Williams, one of those guys as well. Like they just they're so fun to watch. So yes, I mean he has those. But also I think Nate very good vision for a running back. Obviously runs behind the pads with great power. And I do think, again, probably in more of a Trace Sermon type of way, can hit a new gear for about 10, 15 yards and pick up some bigger chunk plays. Won't hit the hole as hard as a Pierre Strong, maybe a Breece Hall, even a Walker, but like really, really talented player in the mid rounds. Brian Robinson Jr., Nate, is no nonsense.
Yeah.
Pretty quick, actually, for a big dude. Good processor and runs hard.
He's an Alabama running back.
Just don't. The upside's not there, but like again, wow, maybe the Patriots just draft him, and just make him as productive as they've made some other guys. Just picking up 4 or 5 yards a clip and just chugging ahead with big games. Could happen.
He's going to be a guy that is so hard to stop in the short yardage situations that NFL teams are going to drool over him, especially if they can get him at a discount later on in this cycle, which I don't think he's going to go, early on day 2, of course, late day 2 guy that, able to rush more than 1,000 yards in a season. So that's the guy that can get it done.
Yep.
Not to mention, he was only behind guys like, I don't know, Josh Jacobs, Najee Harris, Damian Harris. What a group to be behind.
And it's good he came out. It's good he left for the draft because Jahmyr Gibbs comes in, and oh my goodness, we're going to talk about him a bunch next cycle. It probably Jace McClellan as well. So Bama's just again reloading the stable. So guy who's still productive when he could find time to get on the field, good enough for me. I want to talk about Zamir White too, Nate, because without injuries, I feel like we'd be talking about him way more. But there's always going to be those NFL teams that are very concerned about those ACL injuries and don't know how long he can hold up. But he's big, strong, and fast when he's out on the field. And he hits a gear that probably most of these guys in this mid-round, the workhorse type, don't hit. So there are some people who are putting him in their top 5s because he has that upside, that explosiveness and power combination. I get it. I don't know where he's going to go because, again, like I said, the NFL teams injuries. How do we bet on those? How do we determine that? That's a question that they're getting paid the big bucks to do.
Yeah. So, I just think the funniest thing for me about Zamir White is with this guy. I think even I get into the habit. This is a former like number 1 running back in his class. Like this guy was lauded after. U.S. Army All-American coming out, like, out of North Carolina, was a state winning track star.
Yep.
And God, you just think about what if, and still what if, you don't want to write a guy out because like we always say, an ACL tear is not as much of a death sentence as it used to be, of course. But
no. And the other thing is, there are some NFL teams that look at high recruits and want the big time recruits on their rosters eventually. So there's also that aspect of it too.
Yeah. Even give him some chance to build that strength back up and, are ready to give him a little time to get to work, which I think most teams are going to be able to. Nobody's taking him high as an RB1. No. So I eventually he could lead a committee. He could.
Yes,
as long as you take care of him right.
Yes,
and really, really monitor. Are the 2 ACLs, were they on the same muscle or both? I can look it up. You can keep going.
I don't remember.
You go ahead. You talk about the
again. He's also talked about at Georgia as having the strong work ethic character thing. So again, if he can just stay healthy, I expect big things from him if he can do so.
Different legs.
Different. Okay. Yeah. So Mitch brought this up, and I want to talk about him for sure. Jerome Ford from Cincinnati. Yeah. He's got the juice, and I know some people put him in their top 5s. I have the grading scale up, and I have all my notes, and I just haven't input the stuff because I want to get to all these guys before the draft. So I haven't completely locked in top 5s for a lot of the position groups yet. But I think he has a chance to get there because of the home run hitting speed that he has, and he plays that physical brand. He's not afraid to be physical at all. I do think he is definitely a guy who likes to kick it outside more than he probably should. But when you're playing in the AAC, which again, not a bad conference at all, not saying it's a bad conference, but you can get away with it a little bit more of bumping out and getting to the corner over some of these guys just because you're faster than them. Dude played at Alabama before he transferred to Cincinnati. So he knows how much speed these SEC defenses has, and he probably can tell, okay, maybe we're dropping down just a hair, and that's enough for me to take advantage. So had some huge games also when Cincinnati kind of took the ball out of Ritter's hands. Yeah. Late in games for no reason at all. They just like Jerome Ford. Come on, big recruit went to Alabama. How can
he has to have a great, so we had like Jerome Bettis, the bus. Is Jerome Ford the truck?
Ooh, that'd be good if he was bigger. I
just need him to put on 100 pounds and just run guys over.
I know. 5'10" and 5'10.5", 210.
He's so tiny.
He's not big enough to be the built Ford truck.
What about the Tesla?
If anybody's a Tesla, it's probably Pierre Strong.
That's probably fair. Yeah.
If anybody's a Tesla in this,
we'll workshop it.
We'll talk about that. There's actually another guy who ran the 4.3s that I feel like I'm going to bring up later when we talk about sleepers. But Jerome Ford, thank you, Bitch, for bringing him up because yes, that is a guy I definitely want to get to because. Again, when you look at all these committee backs, like get explosive playmakers, and Jerome Ford is that. So big fans of his over here. I guess we can get into some sleepers now, Nate, if you want to talk about a few guys that came to mind for you. And then we'll move over to tight ends. So Nate, give me one sleeper or 2 sleepers even, or 3 or 5. I don't care. The floor is yours, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
I think one of the things that I look for in a sleeper, and specifically in this sleeper, is a guy that prior to his commitment and prior to, going to school and maybe sitting behind some guys, as well as just still having that ability, is that they were highly recruited, that these guys.
I know who it is.
And I don't think you do. I doubt
bet.
it.
We'll see.
Tell me who you think it is.
No. You keep going. No. Keep going. I'll be perfectly honest if I'm wrong. I'll be totally honest if I'm wrong. I'll be honest if I'm wrong. Go ahead.
Well, I'm talking about a guy from a school that I very much appreciate, of course.
Oh, he's going the appreciate route. Okay, he doesn't appreciate. It's not this guy then.
I knew it. I'm talking actually about Tyrion Davis-Price. I think this is a deep sleeper guy.
Yeah.
But a guy that had a really productive year. And if you watch him against the Florida Gators, 287 yards, 3 touchdowns, he's got it. There's a lot of inconsistency on that offensive line in the games that he actually got to play. But, he was transitioned into a running back by committee, which I think is really good for his health. I think it's really good for his longevity. I know we don't look at that as much anymore because these guys are all insane athletes. But this guy has athletic traits. And I think he's going to have a more NFL productive career than he had a productive college career, especially if he gets into a power run scheme. Like, get behind the pads, go. And I like the upside. I like the upside a lot.
Yeah. What else is there to really say about Tyrion Davis-Price? I
Not
really
a lot, because there's not
I
a
thought
lot.
you said he was behind guys, so I thought but once you said you liked the school, I knew it wasn't Tai Chandler from North Carolina, because I know you don't like North Carolina immediately. So that immediately took him off.
If I have to pick a North Carolina team, I actually would pick Coastal Carolina.
That's fair. That's fair. We're going to be talking about that school in a little bit here. Pretty sure we're going to be talking about it.
I would pick Duke second because my grandpa's a big Duke guy. But
there you go.
I
like that. I would say let's talk about Tai Chandler quick from North Carolina, because obviously was, I believe he played at, this could be wrong, I thought he played at Tennessee first. Yes, he did. Tennessee transfer, goes to North Carolina, and I actually thought he had a really good year in an offense where, Sam Howell took him a little bit of time to get rolling because, again, there was a lot of turnover at the skill positions. Tai Chandler came in, filled up really well, great burst, physical runner, very good receiver. And you can get this guy out in routes. They ran this halfback seam play that Green Bay likes a few times this year, and he was obviously really crucial in that, running the wheel route behind the post. I enjoyed his film, and I think he's somebody that Packers fans should probably circle just in case. I know you'll hate it if they draft a running back. I understand. It's fine. But circle him because he fits the trends. All I'm saying is I made a video on the trends last year, and that one of the dudes that fit maybe got picked in the 7th. His name's Kyron Hill. Probably heard of him. So Tai Chandler is somebody who obviously is not going to be an RB1 or anything like that. But again, another guy to put in your room, good receiver, good burst, can get him on the field in different ways. Hey, do you have another one for us as a sleeper running back?
I have 2 more that I'll touch on really quick. These guys are way further down my list than a guy like Tai Chandler is, and further down than Tyler Algier. Because I was like, oh shoot, we already talked about Algier in this group, so I need to dig to the bottom of my list here.
Sure.
But another guy that I think is worth watching is Max Borge out of Washington State. A guy that I really enjoyed watching him. That the lower body strength for the 5'9", 195 frame that he sits on is really impressive. I think he's just going to be tough to tackle in a lot of ways. He could beat linebackers the outside with some speed. Pretty decent route runner from what I've seen. Got some good Pac-12 experience,
Yes. I will never forget the day that we talked about Borge as the next Christian McCaffrey, though. And
that makes me want to.
Boy, we got out of hand with that one.
That makes me.
That's all I'll say. Actually, 5'9" and a quarter, 207. So
even smaller.
Wait, I thought you said 194.
I was pretty sure I said 5'10", though.
Oh, well, yeah. They always overestimate that when you're looking on team sites. But 207's actually, I think, better than...
Probably heavier than what I thought, which is good for him. That's what he needs. He needs to be a little wrecking ball.
Listed 210. But,
and I say that's little, but that's literally bigger than me. So.
This is your passing game, make that first defender miss type of guy in space, no doubt. And Borge's definitely somebody we definitely forgot about. But again, when you label a guy next to McCaffrey and you kind of go get disappointed in that, that's kind of on the people who said this is Christian McCaffrey, maybe a little bit. So yeah. Do you have another? Master
Teague, Ohio State. Very big fan of Big Ten running backs. Big Ten does it best, even if it doesn't always translate into the NFL.
2024, the Big Ten will definitely be best at running back. Just remember that. Travion Henderson, Braylon Allen. Anyway,
let's face it. Brett Bielema has returned to the Big Ten. Running backs galore are about to come through the pipeline. They'll probably be 6-7 round guys or UDFAs, but they're coming. Master Teague's just got the stature that I think a lot of teams like at the next level and at feature back. Super well built, dense frame. It's got that short area burst. that makes him a lot of fun to watch. He had an injury, I think it was back in 2020, but is a guy that, can get you a decent production out of the backfield as well in the receiving game. And somebody that I think has the ability that if he adds some weight, probably a little more weight, can really make an impact, at that next level. Also 40-inch vertical.
Yeah. Master T, he tested pretty well. All
Which
things
is
considered.
Awesome. I wish I had a 12-inch vertical.
So Chianti Ingram, right. Chianti Ingram's been the darling sleeper for a lot of fantasy guys and draft guys alike, just because he's a fluid player, make you miss. The lateral toolbox is very good, and he's a good receiver, a good burst. He has all the tools there to work with. Again, it's just when guys are going later, it's more of, okay, all this athletic upside, but I need to work on processing between the tackles. If I'm running duo, I need to press the line of scrimmage hard, pull these linebackers in so I can bounce out. It's okay. I have, openings in zone. I need to either move this guy out of this area where I'm going. And again, when you have the lateral toolbox he does, that's doable, right? So when you have the contact balance, everything he does in space is great. Now, do you want to be in every down, you give me the ball in first and second down? You have to be able, between the tackles, understand, okay, I need to move guys out, understand where they're leveraged, be a smart processor, and be quick as well. You can't hesitate in the NFL. You have to anticipate openings, and you have to hit those openings when they're there. And like I said, you also have to be able to move defenders. That's what guys like Jonathan Taylor have done now for a while. And why he was a top pick, why he is the best running back in that class, because he was really good at it.
He's a former UT guy, right? He was pretty productive.
Yes. Chianti Ingram did. Yes, he was at Texas. So he played big at Texas as well.
That's
he played like 235 at Texas. He was big.
Yeah,
he's down to like 220. I don't know if that's what he weighed in at the combine or pro day, but I got it. He is 5'11 and 3/4, 221. Agility grades weren't great, but I do think I still think laterally he's pretty good. But explosion grades were good, and you can definitely see that as well. So I like him. A lot of people do as well. I want to bring up Isaiah Pacheco from Rutgers, the birthplace of college football. Got away from Texas. Good for him.
I don't know why that makes me laugh.
It is funny. I do. No, it's funny. It's funny. It's funny when people leave Texas. That's funny. I like that.
It's up there.
Tyler bringing in some humor tonight. We love that. But Pacheco, 4.37, Nate, 4.37. And when you could be one cut go, I do think he definitely plays hesitant. When I was going back, because I'm like, okay, he ran 4.37. You have to watch this guy because, again, these fast dudes always bring you to some tape. But I was a little underwhelmed, but I do think he'd be a receiver, good satellite back potential. But again, it's all about you can't play hesitant. And he's another guy who loves to bounce it out. He loves to bounce it out. And he has the speed, but, I'm not as thrilled. Abram Smith, one more, if I were to throw out one more, converted linebacker, now playing running back for Baylor.
Mm-hmm.
Great feel, good instincts, honestly. Breaks out the spin moves, breaks out the lateral. He is very instinctual when he's got one-on-one in space like that. He can manipulate space really well, and I was impressed with that.
Mm-hmm.
But again, a guy who's still learning the position and still has to acclimate to it.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate he didn't get to switch over sooner, but a guy to watch for sure.
My thing about him, I think it's funny. He started at linebacker, just couldn't hold on to it. But when he transitioned, he's patient. He's got the vision that you look for. You're watching him in games like the Sugar Bowl when they played Ole Miss. Was really fun. He's a fun watch. A guy that might hang around, as a rotational back, a guy that could be out there on early downs. And hey, if it works, it works. He's fun. He's fun. I like the Baylor guys a lot. I think that's a fun team.
The Baylor group in this draft is a great group.
It's really fun.
They're a great group.
My girlfriend's kicker or dad was a kicker at Baylor in his college days. Fun fact.
I didn't even know. I don't even think you ever told me that.
Yeah, I only found that out a little bit ago. So.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah. It's in the DNA. We're headed there.
There you go. But yeah, I do. There are a lot of backs who can fill roles in this class. I'm very excited to see how it works out. Like Tyler Goodson from Iowa is somebody we didn't mention yet. But again, another guy who's good burst. He's smaller, right? He's a smaller back, but has burst and especially the creativity in space. So another guy to watch for. I think Zonovan Knight, Bam Knight from NC State can be on kick returns. That's somebody to watch for with that speed he has. Didn't run well at the combine. I'm not concerned because the speeds are on tape. He hits the hole and he gets out wide. It's hard to catch him.
Have you watched Xander Horvath? I know that's like
No.
way down the line.
I haven't watched him. No.
Bruiser. He might tear some people out to the next level.
Excuse me, it's 235.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's
6'3".
He's huge.
He's huge.
Fullback. Get that man next. Can he? Nate, have you seen him? Have you watched some?
Yeah.
Can he catch a football?
Decently for the size. I think. Okay.
Dang it.
I
was hoping we just found the next use check, Nate, and I was really excited.
Here's the thing. For his size and the position he plays at, I would give him above average catching ability.
Okay.
Route running is pretty freaking good. I hate to say it because you don't see that much of it because it's freaking Purdue. But from what we've seen, the funniest thing, I think the best game I watched of his was against Illinois. When you go back and look at it.
Of course.
But to put that into perspective, Jake Hansen was one of the best linebackers in college football the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. And that linebacking core is no joke. So
no doubt.
I think he's going to benefit from the tools he's got, and I wouldn't write him off. I wouldn't, just based on that size.
That's a name. That's a
That'd
name.
I don't
know if I've heard anybody mention it. Love it.
I'm sticking to it. It'll be one to watch.
There you go. Nate's sticking to his guns there. You can come back to this, and Nate could be big genius.
Put that man fullback. I need Mitch's.
Here's the thing. I've got an H-back fullback. You know, this guy's fun. We'll get to him in tight ends. I think he's bigger. He can potentially play some tight end. But let's move now. A lot of running backs we covered. Let's get into tight end here, Nate.
Yeah.
So, Nate, who's tight end one in this class? Because I think it's maybe fluctuated a little bit. Coming into the season, there was some takes. I think Trey McBride obviously had some fans. Jaleel Billingsley, there were a lot of expectations for Jaleel Billingsley at Alabama.
Oh my
that
God.
did not happen.
No, it didn't.
Got put in the doghouse early before the season started. Now he's transferred to Texas. I can't imagine that's better.
Okay, do you know the full story? He originally committed to Illinois. Do you remember?
Yes. He
committed to Illinois during I don't remember what year that would have been, pretty early. And I had an interview set up with him with Illini Media.
That might have been 19. It might have been spring 19.
Yeah. And
I think it was spring 19, probably.
I had a meeting set up, and I was going to interview him for a site that I was writing for at the time, which will go unnamed. And ended up the day before that, he was like, yeah, I'm reopening my commitment. And I was like, oh, all right, sounds good. And since then, it's been quite a ride, I would say.
Yeah. I hope he can put it all together, Texas.
I do too. The
problem is it's going to be a comeback story for him if he does well at Texas, and Texas isn't back, so I don't know how he gets there. Anyway,
did you see the projections, the most likely bowl projections that went out the other day?
I have
it. I think.
Oh, yes, I did. There was like a 5% chance Texas is in the playoffs.
Like,
yeah, okay, sure.
It was like,
it's clickbait time for college football. Anyway,
it is.
Yeah. But yeah, Billingsley was up there. Wiremeyer was widely regarded as a top guy going in. Obviously, there's love for Jelani Woods now that he tested out of his mind. We'll get to him. I'm probably going to be lower because, again, testing isn't going to outweigh film for me. But Jeremy Rucker's in play. I know some people have Isaiah Likely there. Nate, who's your tight end one right now in the class?
You know who my tight end one is right now?
Who you like, Nate?
Give me a guess. Who do you think I like in this class?
Have I said his name?
Yes.
Oh, so it's not Dulcich from UCLA then?
It's not.
Nate, I'm going to say, is Angry Moose your number one?
Who's Angry Moose? What?
Connor Rogers called Jelani Woods an Angry Moose.
Yet.
He called him an Angry Moose. He did. Believe it or not.
Believe it or not, my tight end one right now is Isaiah Likely.
Okay.
Barely nudging out, which this is actually this probably not really a surprise, but probably my take with this that was either going to go in the Hall of Fame or is going to get me thrown in a dumpster is Jeremy Rucker is barely out of my tight end.
I think Rutgers better than advertised. I think a lot of people are dogging him for the blocking issues, and I do think there are still blocking issues with him. I think he gets way out in front of himself. He doesn't need to do that. He doesn't need to, but he gets way out in front of himself. Don't know why, but I think Nate, Senior Bowl wise, and I was definitely somebody who was lower on Rucker coming in the season. Senior Bowl wise, wow, routes look crisp down there. Let me tell you.
I would like to say
flat to the routes. That was really good.
My history of grading tight ends has been good. So I'm very excited about this class. I think if we're talking about blocking issues, probably the top 3 or 4 guys have some issues in the run blocking game. I think Rutgers proven at a higher level, in my opinion, that there's some work to be done. But I think he has the drive, and I think his ability in other areas of the game are really going to carry him above this class.
Yeah, I think you can put maybe 5 guys at the top spot. And 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I guess 5. I mean, you could put Jelani Woods there because he's a one-of-one athlete at tight end. So I get that. I'm probably going to still stick with Trey McBride. I think he's going to grade out well for me. So I think the thing with McBride is, yeah, he's got a little bit of issue with run blocking as well, but I think the attitude is really good, and he doesn't get a really out of his frame. I was looking for the word. He doesn't really get out of his frame. Definitely some guys, like if you look at the Vanderbilt game, some Vanderbilt edge guys gave him a little trouble. However, the 4.56 was nuts at the pro day, by the way, that he ran. Mm-hmm. Now people are like, he doesn't play that fast. I actually think linearly he's not that fast, but he's faster than I think people give him credit for linearly, because he'll get some of those hide routes, sneak routes where you run the tight end underneath behind the offensive line, right? And they flood it to the side of the field, gets the ball. He gets upfield pretty quick. It's urgent, and I was impressed with how smooth he looked. For me, it's again, also, hands are unbelievable. Like, contested grabs don't bother him at all. Routes are okay. Could be improved there. But again, when he can use the size in his hands to separate for himself, give him a little space, and he's in position to catch the football, I'm telling you, he's not dropping it. He's going to give linebackers or slot corners trouble just because of the size and how the bully ball. He plays bully ball in line. He also plays bully ball at the catch point. And there's a rep at the Senior Bowl where a guy was literally draped on him, and he's got the ball out in front. No problem. I've got it. He's got I have the best hands in the class energy for me. I'm just excited about McBride just because, and again, really productive this past year too. Over 90 catches, over 1,100 yards, like at Colorado State. Just said, I'm the number one option. Feed me. We'll have success. They did. So that's where I'm at with him. So you mentioned Likely, Nate. What do you like about Isaiah Likely?
What do I likely? You're welcome.
Where does he rank for me? Likely 4.
Somewhere between 1 and 4 in this class. But yeah, a guy that came out and somebody that I've really enjoyed watching at Coastal, a guy that came out of high school unranked by 24/7 and most other services, and has worked his way up to being a really highly decorated guy for this team. He was actually on the Biletnikoff preseason watch list this year.
That is kind of surprising, but
it's a huge list, but still very fun. But the athletic potential is really there. And if you're looking for a guy that's going to stretch the field vertically as another option, to add to your team, he's got good speed to get away from a lot of guys. He did it. Of course, this was in the Sun Belt, but a little different. He's got good speed to get away from guys and is a pretty natural hands catcher, especially compared to the rest of this class.
His hands are arrogant.
He's a weapon. That's how I'm going to.
His hands are arrogant.
Yeah. I think he can play all over the field, really. I think he's a good mismatch guy. You might play him in a Y, flex, H-back, move him around, have some fun, and make him a really impactful player. Just somebody that I loved watching him. He's one of my favorite film watches this year.
It's a treat.
Yeah.
If I can share the Coastal Carolina film with you, Nate, I will do my best to do so. so you can get a full watch on him. Maybe
I would love to watch that.
The New Orleans Saints draft him potentially.
Yes. Oh my goodness, that would be.
Hey, do you think they're going to draft a tight end?
Yes.
Okay, well there you go.
I think other than, I'm trying to think of who's on the roster.
This is like he is legitimately, like you said, an F. He competes his butt off as a blocker.
Yeah.
Either in line, either running the split zone where you have to crash the end of the going to the other side, or in space. He wants to end you if he's in space.
Yes.
He does. If for those who are watching right now, if you haven't seen the latest video on the channel here, it was unlikely, and you'll go see him just plow over the DBs in space. It's like it's a monster truck hitting a car, basically, is what it is. Yes. When he's in space. It's so fun.
I think for a guy like Dennis Allen, that's going to be really attractive in the tight end position when you already have a weapon that's very flexible in Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
Who is now going to be playing the tight end role.
Yeah, and what's really exciting about him is like how quick he can be in a short area. Yes. And the flashes of the nuance as a receiver at the top of his stem is really good. The flashes of release against press. There were some games from the summer, you watch 2020 film, you're like, wow, this guy's lining up in his face. And it's jab step and go, and he beat him quickly. And so when you're in the slot and you see some of that, you know, he's going to thrive because, like I said, he can go up and get the football, great hands, has that explosion to go high point the football, and he does a good job of getting himself in position to make catches in contested spots when he has to. So, there's so much with him, and like you already mentioned, the straight line speed. He's exciting to say.
I have him graded as an early third, late second.
Okay, there you go. Late second, early third.
Pretty high on this guy.
He's a fun player, man. He is so fun. We mentioned Rucker.
Which speaks also how I feel about Jeremy Rucker. So
yeah,
I guess
we talked about those three. Those three are what's nice, Nate, is about this class is I feel like there are 8 guys right now who I look at and I'm gonna go, yeah, come in, make a difference in some way. No one said they're gonna be like, it's not gonna be Kyle Pitts level, production, but to come in and play a role.
Really worked out that well anyway. But
it did. Kyle Pitts is good, man. He's good.
I know.
Atlanta's dumb still. They're still dumb because they took him over a quarterback, but he's good. Let's talk about Jelani Woods. I think a lot of people want to talk about Jelani Woods. Nate, the Illinois game is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's beautiful. That's his best game in my opinion. So
it's his best game by far. Now I don't know. So what the difference is again, you see the time, right, of the 40. I don't think he's that fast up the seam.
No.
Believe it or not. I don't see that level of speed up the seam. Greg Dulcich with pads on looks way faster up the seam than Woods does. Again, he's
really heavy feet in my opinion.
He does. Did you watch any of the other games like on YouTube?
I haven't watched extensively. Did
you see any other than Illinois?
No.
Oh man, it looks clunky.
I think
now
I
don't
highlights.
know.
I haven't really seen an all-around tape breakdown.
So they have the other games on YouTube with the full offenses from Virginia, and it's like Duke, North Carolina, and Wake Forest. Those are the 3. I don't know. He dealt with some injury, and I think it was the Duke game where it looked like there was something on his lower leg that maybe was either tape or something that was like either a brace or something that was on. I don't know if that lingered all year and he looked a little bit clunkier, but like out of his stance, and it looked clunky. Now he can win at the catch point. He's huge, right? Like that. There's no doubt there. And in the Illinois game where he looked to me the most healthy of any game, the ability to run the dig route. Oh my goodness. He is flexible enough to flatten that route. He doesn't get deep, and that's impressive when you can be a receiving tight end. That he also played a lot of inline. He's big and strong enough to be an inline tight end. Clean up the technique, we're good. So work in line, catch point in that short intermediate area. Ooh, baby, we've got something, no doubt about it. And teams are going to take a big swing on that on day 2, no doubt, with the test.
I think he ends up going mid to late day, in that. Oh, man, it's tough. I want to say day 3, but I also see the ceiling with the day 2. Because he's so new to the position, and the ceiling is just crazy.
I really do not think he escapes the top 100. a one-of-one athlete that position, we overdraft the NFL overdrafts athletes. They do.
He's gonna sneak his way up into the second round. Watch.
It's possible. I wouldn't rule it out. Like, I know there are Packers fans who want Jelani Woods so much, and they're like, "Look at this! I got him at 132 in this simulator." It's like you're not getting 132 when the draft comes around. I promise you that.
Yeah.
It's so hard because I think simulators do a great job of current rankings, but it's so hard when you don't have NFL information. So when we hear all these things and you put all this picture together, like with Woods testing as one of one at a position that matters with his size, there's just escaping day two is crazy. So
I like the comparison in the most recent comment. Not maybe like production and
I like
wise, but
I'm sticking with Angry Moose. I'm sticking with Angry Moose, Nate. I refuse to any other comp. I refuse any other comp.
It's funny that he played quarterback originally. That's what he went to college to do. That's what he was at Oklahoma State for. Cowboys quarterback.
Yeah, that's crazy. As big as he is, man, he's there's no doubt he's a fun player, and like fun. People always use that when they ask when they're asked about a player, but like where he wins and how big he is it's enjoyable. Maybe not as enjoyable as watching Isaiah Likely, but like tight end class, a special place. I enjoy.
Anytime you get a guy that's physically in a league of his own, the tape is gonna be fantastic to watch. 100%. It's so fun. Any position.
100%. I wanted to go back because I don't have any coaches film, all 22 of McBride, so I had to go to YouTube. But I'll tell you what, when I turned on and watched McBride, Nate, I'm excited. I just have some joy. I like watching him. He's just so much fun. But yes, Tyler said like getting Logan Hall at 87. Not gonna happen. For those who are here, don't be surprised if the Packers pick him at 28. That's all I'm gonna say. In a exit stage left. Nate, let's get to Dulcich quick because I feel like did you watch the LSU UCLA game in the fall, right?
Mm-hmm.
That game was huge for Dulcich. He was running roughshod. You talk about like, an antelope basically on the field.
An angry antelope.
I don't know if he's angry. He's just a smooth antelope.
He's not as mad. The alliteration is so fun.
He's got antelope speed. Yeah, the amazing antelope, fun. Greg Dulcich.
That's by far. This is another guy that I've watched a good amount. That's his best game by far, and I don't think there's any questioning that. But you watch him against Washington, not offering a whole lot as a run blocker, but he's got a toughness and competitiveness that I think he can be taught at the next level. He's going to win against some guys, especially in man coverage. That straight line speed and agility is a lot of fun to watch. I know some guys that have him as high as 2.
I think there's some who have him at 1, even, believe it or not.
I still think he's a complimentary tight end, but
he's a receiving tight end. I don't know. He's 243. That just feels like somebody who's not going to get a ton of looks in the run blocking phase of things. However, if you're the Philadelphia Eagles and you want that second tight end and you stick in a lot of 12, you have Goddard, who's in line, good Y, but also a good receiver. Then you add Dulcich to that unit. My goodness, we are cooking with something there. So, like, for the teams who want to stick in 12 more and they have their run blocking type already in-house, this is the guy to add to your room because he's just that fun. Like, I don't know if Mark Andrews is, like, this supreme blocker, but, like, just imagine him and, like, Andrews and Dulcich running over the middle of the field together for Lamar Jackson. That'll make you smile. Maybe not as a Steelers fan. Maybe Tyler's not loving that. He's not loving that idea, I don't think. That was he probably left. He probably left as soon as I said it. But, like, I imagine that he's going to have a role immediately as a pass catcher because I think the routes are fluid as well and crisp. There's a lot at the top of the route with tight ends, Nate, where they're either a little bit slow out the break, just a thing. They're bigger, right? Like when you compare them to receivers. But there's guys who keep it crisp and smooth, and they can flatten quickly. And when you talk about Dulcich is one of them, I think Rucker is the other especially. Mm-hmm. So it's doable. And for guys who can do that kind of thing and be efficient and crisp, like as much space as you can generate for yourself is important. So
especially when you have Dulcich who has – like such a good catch radius.
Yes.
Like that's one thing that really sticks out to me about him. Is he's gonna pluck the football out of the air, and he's fun to watch too. He's fun.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
This is fair. This is fair. This is fair. And I don't think did Andrews even test that well? I feel like he might not have.
Think it was anything spectacular.
I do think probably the RAS for Andrews was better than Smitty's probably would be. It was actually a 7.3, so it wasn't even that bad. 4.67. Anyway, let's get to the next tier here I want to talk about this first. The Jalen Wiremeyer stuff. He's kind of fallen off the radar, obviously, because even though it's aesthetically pleasing to look at on the RAS card, a 1 is not good.
No, it's not.
That is a 10th percentile athlete at the position. He's 6'3", 7'8", 255. The 502 is also a 25.5-inch vert, Nate. That is 3%.
Yeah, it's not good.
Now, testing isn't everything.
Testing's not everything,
but I will say at tight end position, if you look at the guys who have succeeded, because again, as a receiver with DBs and safeties that play on you or play in your area, even if they're matching your zone, you have to be quick enough, efficient enough, short area. Most of these guys go up and get the football, red zone threats. You have to have good explosion. Usually that translates there. Usually the better athletes end up being the better tight ends at the next level. And that's just how there are exceptions, sure. But more often than not, that's where it goes. And that's why you see guys like Dulcich and Jelani Woods and even McBride running that 4.56 because it really helped out the rest of his testing. A lot of these guys are going to go earlier because, again, teams understand like betting on athletes is smart because a lot of good athletes are good football players. That's just how it works, right? But the Wiremeyer thing, he's still a really good receiver, Nate.
Yeah.
And I think he moves better than his time. But there's concern there, no?
I think there's definitely a good reason for concern. I think he's falling because we're looking at most recent evidence, which is that testing for sure. But when you look at the tape, it's tough because you watch him play against Alabama, who I think for most of us, Alabama is who we look at and say, okay, this is as close as you're going to get to an NFL team in college football, even though the gap is still gigantic.
Massive. Yes,
of course. But the guy's best game, in my opinion, was a year back at Arkansas, and his worst game was this year at a top-tier program in Alabama. A guy, he was a freshman All-American, just has it physically for the tight end position.
Yes.
But there's a lot of room for a lot of concern, despite the frame and the athleticism. I'm not high on him. I think the slide probably stops somewhere in the middle of this class. But in this class, that's not a great thing.
Yeah, I think we want to put this out there. I've seen some people say, oh, he should not be drafted now.
Yeah,
I'm pumping the brakes on that because I feel like even we have like a good 15 to 16, maybe 18 names where I look at this list. I'm like, yeah, they'll probably be drafted. After that, it gets like there's like 40 some tight ends on this list that I see. But like as productive as a receiver as Wiremeyer has been, even though the athleticism, at least testing wise, is poor, I'm still throwing a late round pick on this guy, period, because the production's there, good hands, at least stays crisp as a route runner. He may not be dynamic in terms of explosiveness or short area burst, any of that, but just a guy who could go up, get the football. I mean, I would at least throw a dart at it. Like there's no reason not to, personally.
Someone certainly will. Will.
Okay. So there's some seam stretcher F types that we talked about, and there's some inline guys. I want to get to a couple inline guys who we haven't talked about, and again, a couple of receiving guys we haven't talked about, because I think they're kind of in the same spot here. First off, the two guys, the inline, K. Dotton from Washington, Jake Ferguson from Wisconsin. Nate, any thoughts on those two guys?
I think I have Jake Ferguson. Let me pull back up my note sheet here, but I have Jake Ferguson as higher than I think most people do. I actually have him as my number 4 tight end in this class.
There you go.
Someone that I really like as a traditional Y tight end at the next level.
100%.
He's not the guy if you're coming out here looking for a mismatch tight end. That's going to be your elite option on the flex. It's just not him. It's definitely not him. No. But what he is a practical, rock-solid tight end guy that can serve you in both 11 and 12 personnel groupings. Like somebody that's going to come out, a guy that spent his entire career blocking in Wisconsin, can give you that effort, that hustle. It sounds like I'm saying this because he's white. I'm not, but he's also logged, 30 receptions in it all season in 4 straight years. A guy that I've really enjoyed watching. He's not a sexy option, but he's a practical option. And I think he'll be a quality option, especially if a team wants to use him, like I said, at the Y as pretty traditional game.
Yeah. I mean, Ferguson in line is very, very good, like you said. And then against NFL edge rusher types, like the guys who have huge builds that play a defensive end in the Big Ten, those are guys that, that you're getting reps against all day. And for him to succeed at a high clip is great. And I think the hands are really good. The ball skills are good. But with him and like Cade Otton, the issue is like you're just not offering much athletically, not really dynamic.
I disconnected or if Jake disconnected. Chad, if you can.
I can't hear you very well at the moment, Nate.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, yes.
Now I can hear you.
Okay, we're okay.
But
I was saying,
you had like full black screen on me.
Do I really?
You did for a second there.
Oh, I did. Interesting. Okay. So what I was saying is you're going to get big defensive ends week in and week out in the Big Ten. But for Otton and Ferguson, the dynamic receiving ability just isn't there. Like you can, again, you're running to the flat. You can pick up a couple of yards after the catch because you're tough to bring down. But when you don't offer that upside as a receiver, it kind of pigeonholes you and the upside's a little limited. Cade Otton had some reps against Hutchinson and Ojabo in the Michigan game and actually did pretty well. It's crazy to say, but he had some really, really good reps in line, and he plays a tough brand of football. So if you need another Y, Ferguson's maybe already off the board. Cade Otton just didn't get a lot of opportunities either to catch the football. Wisconsin doesn't feed Ferguson either, right? 30 catches in a Wisconsin offense is a lot of catches. Otton really didn't get fed either. The Washington offense was much worse as a whole. So these two guys are, again, you're plugging them, you're attaching them to the offensive line, and you let them go to work, running the football, or like I said, attaching another guy for pass protection. So it can maybe offer you a little something as a receiver.
But I know we live in the era of guys that we love to idolize, the Kyle Pitts, the elite athletes.
I do.
These guys that are essentially a giant wide receiver that we throw.
For sure.
Not Kyle Pitts is just a wide receiver. He's a damn good blocker too.
He's so good.
He's so good all around. That was a really bad example. But, these physical specimens that I think we forget, some of these guys like Jake Ferguson are going to come in and stay in the NFL for 10 years.
100%.
And put out a super consistent output at the next level. Just because, that experience, being able to be that traditional red zone threat, roll them out there, put them on special teams and let them hit people, whatever you want to do. And those guys will always have a place as long as there are running backs.
Yes. 100%. And then you can throw even Daniel Bellinger in there from San Diego State, who really good inline blocker and actually tested really well, Nate. He was in the 90th or something percentile, I think 95th even potentially. Like he was tested really well, looked better at the Senior Bowl as a route runner. That's a guy I think you should watch as well with these inline guys who maybe might offer even a little bit more at receiver. Mm-hmm. Now, if we switch to the seam stretcher F-type side, you look at Cole Turner, Nevada. You look at Charlie Kohler from Iowa State, and people forget about James Mitchell from Virginia Tech because he got hurt early in the season, but another guy who they moved him all over the place, gave him the ball in the sweeps. They let him split out wide. They put him in the slot. Like these types have a role now in the NFL where if you're athletic enough to a degree, like maybe a Likely is, or Mitchell, like I said, if you block well enough, that you can be in like hybrid 11 personnel, And that guy can be an important blocker in your run game as well. Any of those guys, Nate, jump out to you between Mitchell, Kohler, and Cole Turner?
Man, you are making me wait years to talk about one of my favorite guys to talk about in this
There's a
class.
sleeper. We'll get
you
there.
are making me wait years.
I'm sorry. This is a fun tight end class.
It is a very fun tight end class. And I would say out of that group, a guy that I really liked is Charlie Kohler. I think Baylor and Iowa State both have some pretty fun players in this class. And both out of similar, I would say, stature programs at the moment.
Yeah.
Kohler put on some weight. He's long-legged. He's a little spindly. And he's not the most dynamic dude in the world, but a solid blocker that I think once he fixes some small issues with weight distribution, has the reliable hands that you want, and the ball skills that I think will put him in that group with red zone threat, that type of stuff. Once again, same thing. Put him in a Y. Keep him in the tight end 2 and 12 personnel, and just use him with his strengths. I think he's really productive. I think he's a lot of fun. Another guy that transitioned from quarterback to tight end.
Seems
also,
like
another guy that transitioned from quarterback to tight end from Oklahoma State.
Yes.
That's two right. Already.
There you go. That's two guys
with the same story.
It's like Pokemon evolution, right? You have those guys at quarterback who move to tight end, and then you have guys like Bernard Ryman who move from tight end to offensive tackle, right? So
yeah,
it's just an evolution.
A circle of blocking.
Yeah, I think Kohler's good for what he is, a receiver who
that's what it comes down to.
Against zone. I love him as able to sit down, make some plays post catch, but he can win at the catch point as well.
Yeah,
he got probably unfairly dogged all summer. There were some people who were like, "Man, this guy should be drafted." I'm a little bit off that train at this point. I think he's done enough to prove that he was really productive at Iowa State as well. Like, most of their production as receivers came from the tight end position, mate, for Iowa State. They just really didn't have that dude since Akeem Butler, who really was that uber productive player. So, like that, Cole Turner, catch radius is monstrous, and that's a red zone threat immediately. I don't think there's too much else after that, but we'll see. Maybe unlocks a little something.
TLDR, if Oklahoma State recruits you to be a quarterback, you're destined to play another position at the next level.
Would seem that way. It would seem that way.
That's tonight's motto.
There you go. There's the motto. But we'll have one at the end as we always do. Nate, pull out the sleeper tight end that you've been waiting to talk about because I don't want you to wait any longer. Okay.
The best name in the draft, in my opinion.
Oh.
In terms of uniqueness and fun.
Austin Allen.
Austin Allen.
Go.
Chigoziem Okonkwo.
Yeah.
Okonkwo. I've tried to practice this like 95,000 times. But just a guy that is one of those impressive physical specimens we've talked about with some good receiving ability. And I think that physical repertoire is going to move the needle for a lot of NFL teams. And the Terrapins really did find a lot of ways to get him involved. He was the seam, sometimes was on shallow routes, and sometimes he ran tight end screens, which is super fun.
Yeah.
And if you let him get out in the open field to block, he's gonna pancake some dudes. He's got that dog in him, as we joke about all the time. As I sent you a that statement earlier today.
No. That's just it. That's it. We figured out the evaluation process. Film is dead. Analytics are dead. He got that dog in him. We're good, right? We're good.
I had to bring that up because of the meme I sent you earlier today, so I apologize if anyone.
Honestly, I didn't know if you were going to bring it up until the draft, but I knew you were going to bring it up at some point.
This is the time. I have to get a facetious got that dog in him every episode from now on.
I like it. Okonkwo is going to be that F type. I think he moves impressively well. Obviously ran really fast at the combine. It's another guy you could stick in there, potential power slot guy who's going to get a lot of touches because he's explosive and he's good, and he plays tough. Plays a tough brand of football.
Blocking is a work in progress.
Yeah, but again,
not everybody has to block.
Not everybody has to block. Austin Allen's another guy I just wanted to highlight really quick from Nebraska. Just because I think he's solid in all aspects, but there's room for growth at 6'8", 255. Pretty solid athlete. Was a captain there. Somebody who, again, this is a day 3 pick, but somebody who could stick because, again, there's room for growth in both facets of the game for him.
Mm-hmm.
The name I really wanted to bring up, We didn't bring up who did we not bring up? We didn't bring up Calcaterra, but I think people know what he is. It's a receiving tight end. Been in school a long time. Obviously, it was nice to see him come back after leaving. When he was done at Oklahoma, came back. I think he went to Auburn first and then SMU. Was productive for SMU. Hopefully he, it's great to have him back. That's a receiving role as well. I want to talk about Nate, another guy in the Big Ten, believe it or not. What?
You'll see it.
I mean, it's nice. Yeah, that's true. Mason Rudolph would not block. I want to talk about Nate. Where is it? I keep losing it. Connor Hayward from Michigan State. Okay. 5'11", 235. And you know what? Catch radius, go get the high point the football is very impressive.
Yeah.
Extremely impressive for him. Like he made plays for Michigan State more than pretty much anybody. I know they had two receivers and Jalen Naylor, who's in this draft, and Jaden Reed went back to school. But like Connor Hayward did it all. Blocked his butt off as an H type. Just put him in the use check role. Somebody do it. Somebody just get this man to Miami somehow. And we're cooking because just insane catches. It makes plays after the catch. Like I can't believe. Well, I know we're not talking about it more because it's a specifically defined role, but like, boy, he's entertaining to watch. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, his is very fun. If you put him in like a play action heavy scheme, fun to watch. Fun guy.
Yes.
The Big Ten tight ends are really having a year this year.
They are having a year.
I know we joked about it earlier, but
there is Ohio State's got a guy who's like moving to Ohio State's got a guy who's like hybrid player for next year. That's going to be good. So again, Big Ten tight ends.
Big Ten tight ends. It's even fun to say. Rolls off the tongue.
Braden Galloway is not somebody I've gotten to, Mitch, unfortunately. Nate, I have another quarterback that is going to transition. Armani Rogers from Ohio played quarterback. Took some direct snaps at Ohio, believe it or not. Basically was a running back for some reps. But yeah. They did it all with him. They did it all with him.
I'll have to look at him.
He's 24 already, but again, he's taking advantage of the eligibility and got some straight line speed to him. So that's another guy to watch. Ko Kieft from Minnesota, another Big Ten guy, 6'4", 260, inline blocker.
Big Ten tight ends.
But no, Mitch, I do not know Galloway from Clemson. I have not seen much there, but maybe that's somebody I'll look at before we get the festivities underway in a little under 2 weeks. Oh, we have Braden Galloway. Yeah. Lucas Kroll from Pittsburgh tested really well. Somebody I want to get to hopefully before the draft as well. So I'll put that down for ACC tight ends to get to. Now, quick before we go, if you guys have any Q&A.
ACC tight ends.
If you want to throw some questions, NFL draft our way. Nate, I'm thinking while everybody's here next week, maybe we do a little live mock draft.
Yeah.
Maybe a little live mock draft. I know we didn't get to any defense. But I don't know how we're going to be able to do that for you guys. I can't imagine we get it done. There's so much to get to before we get there to the draft to get done, at least on my end as well. I know Nate's got a lot going on as well with dogs and whatnot.
2 times puppy dad.
Yeah. Really quick, if there's no questions, I just want to remind you guys for who are here.
Yeah.
April 28th, Thursday, 7 p.m. Central. We'll be right here again talking about the first round. Then we'll be back, I believe it's 6 p.m. on the 29th, 6 p.m. Central. And we will, again, talk day 2 as well. So we'll be here for the first 2 days of the draft live talking to you guys. It's going to be a blast. We've got some guests lined up. Hoping to get some more before the festivities start. It's going to be a blast. We're going to have a lot of fun with it, as we often do. This will be the 6th year that we have done. So it's crazy that we did it. All right. So Mitch has one. Nate, how many QBs go in the first round?
3.
I agree. I think it's 3. So who are you omitting? Are you omitting Corral and thinking he has to stay in Vegas for another night?
Yep.
You think Ritter's the 3rd guy?
Yeah.
I think it's
okay.
Yeah. I do think Pickett and Willis.
I don't think he necessarily goes 3rd, but I think he's the 3rd guy.
Oh, you don't? What? Huh? You think Seattle's taking him at 9?
I think some teams probably see these guys, at least the top three, as pretty fluid depending on what they want. So I wouldn't be surprised by any order.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Tyler said Ritter's going to Pittsburgh, sadly. Tyler's a question as well. Nate, does Tyler Algier have that dog in him? Does he? Answer the question.
I have an answer that I don't want to answer because it's not funny. It's funny, but I think every guy associated with football, whether it is media, player, watcher, beer drinker, named Tyler, has that dog in him. So
Tyler has that dog in him. Yes.
Yeah. No, I actually
BYU players have that dog in them.
I think Algier has the motor to go get it. Let me answer a simile with another simile.
Okay. BYU next year, Jaron Hall at quarterback, Blake Freeland at tackle. Yeah. Two guys to watch. Blake Freeland could be a first round pick next year. Just saying.
I was going to say
calling it 380 days out, baby.
Nice. I was going to say Tyler Algier's a Mormon, so he's too nice to have that dog in him, but he's not LDS.
Jamal Williams has that dog in him. He went to BYU. Who top option late to complement Najee? How early are the Steelers going to make a move at the position? Because if you want to complement Najee, I feel like the place to start is with all these speed guys. Like James Cook would be an unbelievable compliment to Najee Harris. I think a guy like Isaiah Pacheco is one from Rutgers. I do think Tyler Goodson would be another if they're okay stretching a little bit under 200 pounds. I can't remember what Anthony McFarland was when they drafted him. He might have been under 200. But I'd like guys who can really open things up with impressive burst, all that stuff. You know what? I like Bam Knight from NC State. I think would be good as well. A really nice compliment there. Ton of speed, still a good pop behind the pads as well. If you're gonna go real undersized, Jerrion Ely would be fun there. That dude's fast.
Would be a fun one.
He's fast.
He'd be a great compliment to Najee.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to have Pierre Strong. I just don't think Pittsburgh's going to draft a running back that early. So
sure,
I would stick to the guys who could really one cut and go. Like an Ely, even Tai Chandler from North Carolina is another one. So yeah, there are plenty to be had late in this draft who can provide that juice behind Najee Harris, which is exciting. There you go. Blake Freeland played QB in high school. Another QB in high school, Nate.
So fun.
Nate looks like a floating head at the moment. Does anybody notice? Yeah. So, I'm excited for the mock next week, Nate. It's going to be fun. We're going to go through round one. If we're fast enough, maybe we'll go through the second. I don't think we'll be that decisive.
There's no way you're going to.
We would have to.
Round two, Jake Schmink. You know better.
We would have to make it beforehand.
Oh, I figured we would. I still don't think we'll get to round two.
Oh. We could get to round two if we make it.
I guess we probably
90 minutes. Come on.
Yeah,
I think if we were here 90 minutes, we could easily get through 2 rounds.
That's true.
No, I don't know if anybody else is doing 2 rounds, Nate. That's the fun part.
Yeah. We probably should. We could probably make it tonight and have some fun.
I think we can make it 2 rounds. I think we can do it. Jaron Hall playing into a day one QB would be interesting. I don't think it's impossible. There's a lot of guys next year that could be. I mean, Stroud and Young are going to be the leaders in that clubhouse. Van Dyke will be there as well. Devin Leary from NC State. The Rattler's still playing. He's going to be playing at South Carolina.
He's still there.
Obviously, Bo Nix is a phenomenon.
Oh God.
Bo Nix has to play Georgia to start as he transfers to Oregon. He can't escape the SEC. He can run, but he can't hide. Jaron got that dog. Well, there you go. Never mind.
Quit that.
Never mind. He's going in the first
round, top 10 prospect.
Got that dog in him. Trubisky can be. He'll probably run. He'll run. I
think that comment was more facetious.
I know it was, but I do think Trubisky can run. So I don't hate it. Yeah, so thanks, guys, for the questions this week. Appreciate you guys sticking around for running backs, tight ends. This was a fun one. The tight end position is just a fun guy. a fun position to talk about. A lot of fun guys in this class. Dulcich, Likely, McBride, Rucker, Woods.
It's
some
fun.
others.
It's fun.
We talked about a lot of them, though, and the running back class is deep as well. So hope you guys enjoyed. We will be back next week. Friday, Nate? We doing Friday again?
Probably, yeah.
Okay, we'll do Friday. We put this out there immediately. We think it's Friday.
I think it's Friday.
2-round mock. Should be a blast. And then the week after that, we're off and running into the craziness that will be the 2022 NFL Draft. So thank you guys so much. Yes, enjoy your holiday if you're celebrating Easter.
Or Ramadan.
We'll see you. What? Or what?
Or
Ramadan. Whatever holiday you're enjoying right now, enjoy it.
Happy whatever the heck it is.
And enjoy the weekend as well.
Yeah.
We've made it, ladies and gentlemen, the weekend. And we will see you guys next Friday. Farewell, everybody.
If you're going to be a character from the Haunted Mansion, be a singing floating head.